All right, let's talk about that wow feeling. You know the one. You see something and it just looks incredible. Well, turns out it's not magic, it's actually science. And today, we're going to break down the code.
You've been there, right? You're just staring at something. Maybe it's a sleek car, a really well designed room, or even just a great outfit. And you think to yourself, man, why does that just work? Well, that little jolt of attraction, it is absolutely not an accident. It's 100% by design.
And here's the kind of crazy part. It turns out our taste isn't nearly as personal or random as we think it is. There are these deep psychological principles at play. You could almost call them rules that designers use to make things we can't help but find beautiful. So let's start peeling back the layers and see how they pull it off.
So, where do we even begin? Well, we start with layer one, the silent, secret language of shapes. This is like the absolute foundation of everything we look at.
Okay, check this out. Our brains are hardwired to see curves and angles in completely different ways. Curves remind us of things in nature, right? So they feel organic, inviting, maybe even comforting. But sharp angles? Whoa, that's a whole other story. They come across as precise, powerful, sometimes even a little aggressive. Just think about the difference between a rolling hill and a skyscraper. And you better believe that brands are all over this. A Porsche, with all its flowing curves, feels dynamic and natural. But a Lamborghini, all those sharp angles make it look like a fighter jet that's ready for a fight. See, one isn't better than the other. They just create a completely different feeling on purpose. It's the exact same reason the Starbucks logo feels so warm and welcoming, while Tesla's design feels sharp, precise, and futuristic.
Okay, so we've got shapes creating specific feelings. But how is our brain actually handling all this information? Well, that leads us right to layer two, your brain on design.
Your brain is getting hit with a tidal wave of visual information every single second. To cope, it creates these little mental shortcuts, which we call cognitive cues. It's basically looking for patterns and making quick assumptions so it doesn't have to burn so much energy. It's kind of like a rapid-fire association game happening in your head all the time.
And here is the secret sauce. Great designers know all about these mental shortcuts, and they use them to guide what we see and how we feel. That's exactly why, when something is really well designed, it just clicks. You don't have to analyze it or think about it. It just feels right. But get this, it's a two-way street. How you already feel about something, like a brand, can literally change how good its design looks to you. For example, if you're a diehard Nike fan, when a new pair of sneakers comes out, they're probably going to look better to you than a new pair of Adidas, simply because of that positive history you have with the brand. And that right there is exactly why the most iconic brands almost never do a massive ground-up redesign. I mean, think about Coca-Cola. They'll make small tweaks to look modern, but they would never ditch the core look that we all know and recognize. That familiarity gives us this powerful sense of comfort. And this whole idea of comfort and familiarity leads us perfectly into our third and final layer. And honestly, this one is a surprisingly simple principle that's pretty much the secret to all premium design.
You know, we've kind of been taught to think that luxury means more features, more flash, just more of everything. But in reality, true premium design is usually about the exact opposite. It's about subtraction. It's about taking things away to remove all the distractions. The official design term for this is negative space. And let me tell you, luxury brands are the absolute masters of it. Just picture an Apple ad in your head. It's almost always just the product on a clean, empty background, right? That forces your eye right to the product and makes every little detail feel deliberate and important. And you have felt this in your own life, I guarantee it. Think about walking into a cluttered, messy room. It feels chaotic, a little stressful. Now, picture that same room, but it's clean and organized. It immediately feels more premium, more calming, and fresher. When you remove all that clutter, you create mental breathing room, and that lets you relax and focus. Okay, so we've gone through shapes, we've talked about our brain psychology and the power of subtraction. So now let's put it all together into a simple code that you can actually apply to your own life. Really, it just boils down to three things. First, shapes create emotion, so use them intentionally to set the vibe you want. Second, remember that your feelings guide how you see things, so just be aware of your own biases. And finally, less is more. The absolute fastest way to make anything feel more elevated is to just remove the distractions. And listen, this code isn't just for some elite group of designers. This is for you.
Think about it. You can apply these principles to how you arrange your living room, how you put an outfit together, or even how you organize the apps on your phone's home screen. It's all about consciously creating an environment that feels good to you.
So the next time you see something and you just think, wow, that looks amazing, take a second and ask yourself why. And maybe more importantly, start thinking about this. By using these simple principles, what's one thing in your own life that you could make feel just a little more intentional?